Welcome to Podsdale, where we explore the stories that make Scottsdale truly special. I'm your host, Holly Walter from the city's Office of Communication. Join me as we learn what makes Scottsdale tick. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Okay, today we are talking tourism, which is incredibly important to the city of Scottsdale. And I might also need to call this the Rachel episode because we have two Rachels on the program today. We have Rachel Smetana. She is our Director of Tourism and Events with the city of Scottsdale, and Rachel Pearson, who is the VP of Community and Government Affairs for Experience Scottsdale. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
And having you first time on the podcast with us, I'd like to just start with having you introduce yourselves and talk about your roles. I'll start with you, Rachel Smetana.
All right. Well, I've had a long career at the city, 24 years so far. I've been in the library, planning and development, human services, economic development. I spent 10 years in the mayor's office working for both Mayor Lane and Mayor Ortega. I ran Vista del Camino and Paiute Neighborhood Center, and 7 weeks ago, I was lucky enough to start as the Tourism and Events Director.
And we're excited to have you in that role.
So excited. Best job ever.
And how about you, Rachel?
Well, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm Rachel Pearson, Vice President of Community and Government Affairs for Experience Scottsdale, and I have been with our organization for a little over 20 years. I think I'm coming up on 24. Various roles, but really my job is all about connecting with our city and town partners, our board of directors, the Scottsdale Tourism Development Commission, all of our great community partners, local organizations, and of course, our residents. I also oversee some of our research and our recruitment. And really, it's all about working with the city and our partners and making this community the best it can be.
And for those who may not be familiar with Experience Scottsdale, can you just give a quick overview of what Experience Scottsdale does and how they partner with our city?
Absolutely. We are a private organization, although primarily funded through the bed tax that comes through the city of Scottsdale and the town of Paradise Valley from our hotels and resorts. And our job is really all about branding this destination, making sure that people all over the world know where Scottsdale is, what we have to offer as a luxury year-round destination. So whether you're a leisure visitor, a travel agent, a meeting planner, a journalist, you know all about Scottsdale.
And this is probably a question for both of the Rachels, but how do our organizations collaborate to reach our shared goals?
Experience Scottsdale does an amazing job, a very professional, beautiful, renowned job of marketing our destination outside of Maricopa County, both in the United States and internationally. And so we are lucky to partner with them and have them do that great work. And then within the city, we oversee special events, making sure those events are safe and well planned. We have some tourism funding to support new events and tourism research and strategies. We do our own events, like Scottsdazzle is a month-long event in December, and Western Week will be coming up the end of January, beginning of February, which celebrates the Pony Express and the Prada del Sol and celebrates our Western heritage and June days. And so it's a busy department in the city of 5. And we're so lucky that we have a wonderful destination marketing organization at our side to showcase. I mean, Scottsdale is known throughout the world. In fact, I've had one big fancy vacation in my life. I went to Bali last year and everyone knew Scottsdale. I met these lovely gals from Bristol, England, and they said, I always wanted to go to Scottsdale and the Grand Canyon. That's really it for Arizona. I doubt they knew where Columbus, Ohio was or anything like that, but they know Scottsdale. And that's very much thanks to the wonderful job that Experience Scottsdale has been doing for decades.
And I've heard that from so many people. And from the Experience Scottsdale perspective, how do you collaborate with the city and how does that ultimately benefit our residents?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think we really see the city as a critical partner. I mean, our visitors, when they're coming here, they want a safe destination. That means police. That means fire. They want a destination that's easy to get around. That means transportation. They want a city that has an incredible built environment, that has a beautiful outdoor landscape. They want, someplace that is just going to be really welcoming to them. And all of that requires a really well-run city. And so we try to work with as many of the departments as we possibly can, because we know if we're creating an incredible experience for our residents, we're going to create an incredible experience for our visitors.
So there's really an impact on the quality of life when we talk about this.
Absolutely. And it really comes down to the fact that, we've got millions of visitors, about 11 million visitors that came here last year. They're leaving about $3.5 billion economic impact on our community. They're supporting over 27,000 jobs. And all of that tax revenue generated by sales tax from our visitors goes directly into the general fund and is helping to pay for a lot of the city services that our residents get to enjoy. The bed tax is also being used to fund some of the incredible facilities throughout our community, all of those great special events that Rachel had mentioned. There's so much that we're able to give back to our community through the tourism industry.
Such an important partnership, and I think that's good for listeners to know. What are some of the major events or campaigns where this partnership has really shined? I know you've worked together on several high-profile initiatives.
Well, one way I like how we partner is the city is really tasked with the marketing of Old Town Scottsdale. So we've branded that very well. We push Old Town out past the boundaries of Scottsdale and invite both Valley visitors and visitors from around the country to visit here. And Experience Scottsdale megaphones that out even farther. And so, it's one area that we're kind of tasked with marketing and that they help us out a lot. But we've done, over the years, a lot of the major events. And Rachel, you can probably speak to that very well, how we've worked together, Super Bowl years and all sorts of fun and exciting Final Fours.
And I think it is what Rachel said about just really layering those efforts. The city's able to create incredible things like June Days in Scottsdale or the Canal Convergence Program with Scottsdale Arts. And then we're able to amplify that message beyond our local residents in the Valley, really to all of our major domestic markets. And even internationally, we are an international destination. People are looking for all the incredible reasons to come here to our community. We know that our visitors, like our residents, tend to be a little bit more affluent. So they could go anywhere in the world that they want. We have to convince them to come here. And every one of those incredible events and activations and experiences that we offer helps them to decide to choose Scottsdale.
And I would just like to piggyback on that a little bit, because it used to be, Scottsdale very intentionally made ourselves a tourism destination back in the day. Even before we were incorporated as a city, we were thinking about attracting visitors here. And so now the residents that are here, I never want to take for granted the fact that we have spent, more than 70 years building a wonderful destination that's internationally renowned. And so beyond the economic impacts, generally the $3.5 billion, for every dollar the city spends, we get $1.44 in return. That is amazing. If we got that in the stock market, we wouldn't be working anymore, right?
That's incredible.
So it's just, the impacts can't be undersold.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's worth reminding folks that even though sometimes traffic's a little heavier during Barrett-Jackson or the Waste Management Open, what it does is it keeps our property taxes low. What it does is keep our municipal services high. We have a lot of beautiful libraries and parks and wonderful things, and tourism helped us pay for that.
Well, and I think, too, just to add on to that as well, is that those incredible events that we've been able to create and grow in this community, there are people getting on planes across the world to come to those, and they're in our backyard. You could just pop over to those events one Saturday afternoon and enjoy something that other people are centering an entire vacation around, which is really exciting.
What's fun for me is that people actually put their Arabian horses on planes and come internationally here. Wow.
That's an incredible point. In fact, I was out at Westworld last week and had an opportunity to see some of the horses there for the horse show. And it was really amazing to hear about the care and the time and the effort that's put in place from those participants to bring those horses out here. And we don't just rest on our reputation. We're forward thinking. So we do have a 5-year strategic plan in place. And can you give us a sense of what's been accomplished so far?
Experience Scottsdale has done so much, so I will let Rachel go first.
Well, and I will just say this strategic plan has been an incredible partnership between our organization, the city, and the community itself. It really took several years to put into place. We walked side by side, ensuring that we were understanding the visitor marketplace, understanding what our destination already brings to the table, and what our residents want. Because again, this is a community plan, not just a tourism plan. And so it's outlined 8 different pillars in our community that we can focus on. And through our efforts in the cities and a lot of that partnership that we started talking about at the beginning is really how we're going to move this forward. So it is everything from community well-being to festivals and events to talking about how do we continue to focus on outdoors, driving additional sports tournaments here. So there's so many things that we've been able to start tackling and looking at from a different perspective. Good news is we started in a great place. So it's all about how do we continue to improve and make those little tweaks that are just going to make this community stronger.
And talking about the day-to-day efforts, how does this plan guide our work in attracting visitors while maintaining a balance with residents' needs? Because you mentioned that in your previous conversation, Rachel.
They're not opposed to each other, right? So we, for example, we're working really hard right now, and Chief Gandara from the Scottsdale PD is working with the gentleman who for 8 years has put together the Dios de los Muertos event. And that this year, we've been able to invest a little more in that. And we're having this procession with these beautiful community groups and dancers and face paint and a festival the next day and a dance that evening. And then Sunday is a free community event with the dance. And so we want our community to participate in that and show up. Scottsdale, for example, you may be here visiting grandma during December, but we hope to see locals, tourists, all of it. We want a very active and fun community. We want to have a lot of fun things to do. Canal Convergence, for example, that event has really grown in popularity across the valley and is starting to get a lot more interest outside of the valley. But that's very much, come out Scottsdale and see all these beautiful installations and performances and hands-on arts things. So it really just enhances, we could just be a boring bedroom community, but we're not. We're vibrant, and we've invested in that.
And I'll just add that I think we're taking the things that we're already well known for. We're taking the things our community already loves about Scottsdale and just elevating them. So we've already got a strong and healthy arts and culture community. How do we make sure that we're elevating that experience a little bit more, maybe adding to it and really involving those stakeholders and helping us to figure out how do we take it to the next level. Same thing, whether it's wellness or culinary, all the incredible cultures that we have here. There's so much that we offer. We're just trying to figure out how do we continue to push that just a little bit better for the sake of the community.
And I love that we're continuing to amplify these events. And we even have stuff in the summer when you wouldn't think about tourism necessarily. But I think that's a great point to talk about things that we have for our residents throughout the year. We have June Days, which is an entire series of events that happen over the month of June. And so, of course, that's been a huge draw and pretty successful.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think our community is always looking for things to do. And we're moms and our kids are older now, but especially families with young children, they need things to do. You've got to get your kids outside running around a little bit as much as you can. It's just healthier. And so it feels wonderful to work with Parks and Rec and some of our event producers to put together things that are really accessible for families from north to south. It's wonderful.
And we also have major events, obviously, like we've hosted the Super Bowl in the Valley. And so there were many. We had ESPN broadcasting live from Scottsdale, several other events that were happening in our city. We have the Waste Management Phoenix Open, Barrett-Jackson. These things obviously draw significant attention to Scottsdale. How do your teams prepare for and maximize these opportunities for Scottsdale?
Well, it's really important that our city is prepared for it. So on an organizational level, we want to make sure that because we have so many eyeballs on Scottsdale, that things are well organized and clean and ready to go, and we're ready to receive these visitors because the economic impact of having these large scale events on our community is huge. So we want everyone to have a great time. The stadium's in Glendale. And so that we get this much economic impact from all the way on this side of the valley is wonderful. And also a testament to the fact that we have a really wonderful freeway system and the transportation here. I ran into, just a sidebar, visitors from Houston last spring, and they were talking about how they were going to a spring training game and how if it were that far away in the city of Houston, like they might even have given up, but they can just hop on the 101 to the 202 to the 303 and on, and they're there, in short order. So I think the whole valley has done a good job of that part of connectivity. But yeah, we've got to be ready, and then we've got to have Experience Scottsdale marketing us and explaining just why they should come back when it's not a big event. Bring your family.
And I think during those major events, it's really fun because we truly do get to partner in a lot of unique ways on figuring out how do we make sure that we secure ESPN, how are we activating that so that we are drawing not only visitors, but Valley residents who are looking for the fact that they want to take advantage of having a Super Bowl or some sort of mega event in their backyard. We want them to come out here versus all the other places they could choose from. So it does take a lot of coordination, a lot of work, marketing that out, and making sure that we are putting together an event that people are going to talk about positively and want to come back again and again.
And also being an easy organization to work with for producing that. We want to remove as many barriers as possible so that we can plan these activations, which may be somewhat impactful to the surrounding community, but generate so much in the long run, and just make sure that it's easy for folks to pick Scottsdale.
And I think we excel in that area.
Yeah.
I've heard that from others. Rachel, let's talk about the new airline route from France. How did Experience Scottsdale collaborate on that, and what does it mean for Scottsdale's tourism market?
It's so interesting because how different airports or cities get international flights is certainly a big business. And we have been working very closely over the years with Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, along with many of the other destination marketing organizations like us throughout the valley, trying to secure additional long-haul flights. It's so important that we drive those international visitors here. They tend to stay longer and spend more when they are visiting, so they're a great customer to have. And with the flight to France, really exciting opportunity for us to partner with the airport, with the Arizona Office of Tourism, other organizations like us throughout the valley, and we're helping them support their launch and making sure that plane is full, because the airport's going to make sure that Phoenicians are getting on the plane to Paris. We have to make sure that folks in Paris are getting on the plane and coming here. Right. So we are doing that by training travel agents in Paris and throughout France on how to sell Scottsdale to their clients. We are talking to the media and making sure that great coverage is happening in their publications, their social media, showing the Parisian visitor or the Parisian resident, I should say, on why they should come and visit Scottsdale. And then, of course, we're just marketing in that destination in a way that we haven't before. It's always been a key international market, but we hope to grow it with this new flight.
That's exciting news and something I didn't know about until we were talking prior to the podcast. Let's look forward. So as we continue to work together, what's next for Scottsdale's tourism landscape? Are there any future projects or goals you're especially excited about?
Yes, but I can't tell you.
Oh, it's a secret. Okay.
Well, one of the things I'd love to talk about or just at least mention is that we've been working on a program and have had support from the city as well. It's called Wheel the World, and it's an opportunity for us to better share information about how accessible Scottsdale is, so that whether it is somebody with a disability or even just seniors who may not have the same mobility options, people who have issues, whether it's sight, sound, moving about the world, whatever it is, that they feel really welcome here in Scottsdale. So we're working with a lot of our local businesses, helping to share that information, because a lot of it is simply allowing that traveler to know what their experience is going to be like when they arrive. And that's all about education.
I think it's great we're thinking about those things.
Yes, we have to be accessible and welcoming. If you come to Scottsdale and it is hard to get around, or the locals are unfriendly, you're not going to go home to Green Bay, Wisconsin and say, you should really go to Scottsdale. We always have to be paying attention to these things. And it's something that will never be finished for sure.
Mm-hmm. And we've talked a lot about visitors, but let's talk a moment about residents. Residents especially play an important role in the overall success of these initiatives. You talked about the friendliness and people wanting to come back to the city. And how can they stay engaged in supporting Scottsdale as a world-class destination?
Well, I mean, we both have wonderful newsletters full of information for sure. We have a Tourism Development Commission, which carefully oversees the expenditures of bed tax. Tourism's in the news all the time, and hopefully it's mostly good news. There are probably other ways, Rachel.
Yeah, I would just add that, the strategic plan that we talked about earlier was formed with input from our residents, and that input should continue as we continue to look at additional ways to implement the plan. But I also will just say that a resident is part of the everyday visitor experience. Mm-hmm. When you visit a destination, whether you are at a hotel, whether you are eating at a restaurant, going out and about, your transportation, if somebody's driving you around, whatever it is, all of those folks are residents, and you have such a big part to play in the experience that our visitors have when they go home and they say, Scottsdale was so friendly. The people were so helpful, so welcoming. So every single one of our residents plays a part in the success of our destination.
Yeah, everyone needs to channel their inner Herb Drinkwater, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it makes a huge difference.
It really does. It really does. It's very important. And, we understand that some of these larger events can be impactful, but we hope our residents will understand what that visitor means to us and means to the fact that we have a wonderful quality of life here. And I hope we won't rest on our laurels. And I hope that we'll get the reputation for being the nicest destination in all the land.
And, I don't think we rest on our laurels. I mean, just from the conversation we've had this afternoon and the efforts that we have and what we're thinking about in the future, it's incredible. So where can residents and listeners go to learn more about Scottsdale's tourism efforts and stay informed about upcoming events or opportunities, what we're doing?
So I'll jump in on that one. Definitely encourage our residents to check out our website, experiencescottsdale.com. We've got a place you can sign up for our newsletter to learn more about what's going on in the destination, a great calendar of events, and tons of other resources, including a great community section if you want to learn more about our organization and the impact of tourism. And of course, we are in all the major social media channels, Facebook, X, YouTube, Pinterest, LinkedIn, and we are also now on TikTok during the past year.
Okay.
So lots of places to find us and stay connected. And that way you also get to enjoy all the incredible things in your own backyard.
Rachel, I was just looking at your website not too long ago and noticed your really wonderful outdoor and hiking guide. It's very beautiful. So even locals should take a peek. It's got great hike information as well as safety information. And it's just lovely to look at. And I would also like to jump on that. Old Town Scottsdale has a beautiful website. It's just been redone, and it's got a wonderful calendar of events and also social media around it as well. And I would also, just for the timing of this, check out Dios de los Muertos, Scottsdale Dios de los Muertos online. It is a gorgeous event, and I hope that we will see everyone listening at least one of the 4 activations that they are doing. It is going to be spectacular, and everybody's working very hard on it. And I know it'll be just a wonderful thing.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be incredible.
Get your face painted, Holly.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that. Okay. I think we've covered a lot today, but I just want to check with you both. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
I just want to say thank you to the city, to our partners, because truly creating an incredible destination takes an entire community. It takes everybody being a part of it, supporting it, and really, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but trying to be innovative. This is a fiercely competitive industry. Most of our competitive destinations have budgets much larger than we have or that our city has, and yet we continue to show at the top of the destinations that people are considering and continue to receive a lot of great recognition, and it truly does come back to our citizens.
And I agree. There are lots of places where you don't have to shovel sunshine. So it's competitive. We're Scottsdale and we're lucky to be in the position that we are. And I look forward to continuing to work with Experience Scottsdale and Be the City, Rachel. For Rachel Pearson and Rachel Sacco, their wonderful CEO, and driving the tourism and event strategic plan forward and just having a lot more success.
Agreed. And, truly, I know you're both very busy women. So I appreciate that you took the time to sit down and talk to us today. Rachel Smetana and Rachel Pearson, thank you both for being on Podsdale. That's all for this episode of Podsdale. If you enjoyed listening, be sure to subscribe. You can find us on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Feel free to share your thoughts and experiences with us by emailing communications@scottsdaleaz.gov. We would love to hear from you. Until next time, this is Holly Walter signing off and inviting you to be part of the Scottsdale story.